out of the 20 questions that we had in the exam from language comprehension, 6 belonged to grammar. So we had 4 from RC, 6 from grammar, and the remaining from vocabulary. Now, what kind of areas did they touch upon? What kind of format where the questions were asked? Well, here they are. So we had these questions based on error detection. So wherever grammar is tested, I think error detection is usually one of those default ways of testing us on this. Then the second thing is error correction. So they pick up a sentence, underline a part of it, and then they ask us to fix it. Additionally, you had fill in the blank questions that were primarily meant to test your understanding of the prepositions that get involved in the sentences. And prepositions is another one of those areas that we know is a fairly high frequency area for these exams. We have in fact also gone ahead and we've gone on to talk about this. Besides, you had some regular fill in the blank questions that were based on grammar, where you had to put in some verb, etc. and all. And then there was a question where they asked us to change the narration, direct speech to indirect speech and vice versa. Similarly, a year prior to that, they asked us to change the voice. So that's the basic territory that we can expect. And this particular session will focus on these different varieties, so that when you see the exam, you are absolutely comfortable. So I welcome you to BYJU'S Exam Prep. This channel is dedicated to your success as a B School aspirant. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. And at the same time, do hit that bell icon so that you do not miss out on any of these sessions. My name is Vikrant and I am your personal coach for all things related to English and communication skills on this channel. So let's go ahead, let's dive in and then talk about some of these questions. So to begin with, I am going to get into error detection, right? So make sure that you liberally use the comment box in order to share your answers with me. And in grammar, it actually is useful to share what you think is wrong. So apart from the answer, if you also tell me what you thought was wrong, that allows me to give a higher quality response to you, right? So the quality of my answers can also improve. That can address your specific outlook, your specific concern directly, right? So let's get ready. Let's start. There you go. So question number 1, you have been given 2 sentences. Your job is to pick up which one of A, B, C and D represents the correct situation. And here, when we say correct sentence, we are talking about grammatically correct sentence, okay? So let's not go beyond grammar. Okay, so Nidhi has set the ball rolling. Nancy too, yes. Oh, fantastic. So you guys are absolutely spot on. The correct answer is indeed option A, nothing else but. We don't use then here, and thus A is your right answer. So no doubt about it. So Jaunty, B, second, it is nothing else then pride is the wrong structure. Nothing else. So but in this sentence is basically used in the sense of except. So that's what we basically use. Okay. Here comes the next question for you. Question number 2 of the similar variety. What do you think is the right answer here? Okay, that's quick. So I'm getting a lot of B's. So A, I think you guys have ruled it out. So you realize, first up, better is the comparative degree. whereas best is the superlative degree. Now, comparative degree is used when we compare two entities, two things. Superlative degree is used when we compare more than two entities or more than two things. So, considering that we have only two individuals being compared, best is definitely wrong. So, we prefer using better. But there is a problem here, and the problem is, do we use the before better? Do we use the before better? Yes, there is a particular structure where we do use the before better, but then the structure is supposed to have of the two after the adjective. So I like Mumbai, I like Delhi, but I think Delhi is the better city of the two. So you realize in this structure where we show our preference for one over other using of the two, that's a structure where we do use the before better. Otherwise, normally, we as a rule, we don't really put the here. It should have been a. So Reema is a better human being than her sister. So the use of the was incorrect, and therefore I would actually go with D. Neither is correct. So maybe some of us forgot to look at the. So stay on your guards, okay? It at times can have layers, multiple concepts that get involved. Next one. Question number 3, select the incorrect part of the sentence. So you have a sentence divided into 4 parts. One of these 4 parts has an error. Your job is to figure out that part and mark that as your answer. Okay. So Nidhi has shared her answer. Mayank too seems to have copied Nidhi's answer, but no, not copied. There are extra spaces there. Okay. So loads and loads of D's. You are absolutely spot on. The correct answer is indeed D. There is this area that we study in grammar. It is called parallel construction, or simply put, parallelism. So instead of lowering, it should have been lower. It violates that parallelism thingy, and that is why D. And all of you have gotten it right. That's absolutely amazing. And with that, let's move over to our next question. Question number 4. Once again, select the incorrect part from the sentence. Give me 5 answers and we'd start our discussion. Shivam, I like that. You also went on to share your take. Although instead of lowers, we need to have lower. We don't need that S there. Check it again. Okay, so Mayank has again set the ball rolling by sharing his take, his answer. What about the rest? Mayank, that was super fast. I'm impressed. Nancy, Asmita, Dhirendra, fantastic guys. Absolutely amazing. The correct answer is indeed D. And the reason is, unless is already a negative word. Okay, unless is created by combining if and not together. So because we've used unless, we are not supposed to use a not here. This not is incorrect. So it should be unless the atrocities stop. So there are 2 conjunctions where people at times make this mistake. One of them is unless and the other one is lest. So both of these are negative, and the clause that they had it is not supposed to have a not in there. So D it is. No, Piyush, the conjunction is all right. You don't need to change unless into until. although until would also be right here, but unless is not wrong. The problem is with not. Okay, and here is the next question for you. Okay. So I see Mayank has shared the answer. Nidhi has also shared her answer. आज का सवेर कल का investor? What sort of name would that be? Okay, but you guys are absolutely spot on. The answer is indeed C. Instead of yet also, it should have been but also. So, you know, in English, we have these conjunctions called correlative conjunctions. They're like a formula. They come in pairs, things, stuff like either or, neither nor. So when you decide to use a correlative conjunction, you need to use that entire formula as it is. You cannot really go ahead and tinker with it. So with not only we use but also, and that is why the use of yet here will be incorrect, and thus the answer is C. But almost everybody has managed to get this right. Some of us also picked up A and C. Let's check the responsibilities of a teacher. Absolutely fine. Lie not only in the inculcation of knowledge. This part is also fine. Nothing wrong here. First and second segments are absolutely correct. Now let us go ahead and look at the second question, variety. Second way of framing these questions, and that is error correction. So in these questions, the examiner will underline a part of the sentence. That underlined part is rephrased in 4 different ways, and our job is to choose the way which is grammatically correct. So here is a question for you. So you have the underlined part, you're supposed to replace it, and go ahead and tell me. So what's your take now? Okay. Man, plenty of answers. Absolutely correct. To marry. We know infinitive, right? To plus verbs first form. Okay, let me twist it a little. If I change this force into stop, then what should I put in the underlined part? Mind you, there is no right option otherwise, so create your own option. If I change the force, if I replace force with stop, what should the correct option be now? Come on, share it in the comment box. Quick, share it in the chat box down below. आप उसे मुझसे शादी करने से रोक नहीं सकते. You cannot stop her. Okay, now it will be from marrying. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. You guys are super, huh? Fantastic. Okay, question number 7 on your screen. Tell me your take. Yes, Chinmay. Absolutely. That was right. So, question number 7, guys. Question number 7. What's your answer for this? I heard I mean, some of you guys are so fast that I am actually surprised. But absolutely spot on, guys. The answer is B. Now, see, the funny thing is, if the sentence were to stop here, if I just stop here, if I don't proceed further, then this part is absolutely correct as it is. But it does not stop here, and it has a to. So face recognition might transform everything from policing to the way people interact every day. So this to basically forces our hand and asks us to replace this about with from. Then question number 8. नीर यार, important grammar rules यार. अभी ना CMAT 4 मई को है. So we've barely left with we don't even have a week. So I'm not going to cover basics in this session, but we definitely schedule some other session where we can dive into the basics as well. Don't worry. Okay, this is a longer question, so it's hopefully taking you guys a little longer too, but then Ashmita has again replied very fast. Sayak has also picked it up. So I think we are basically talking about A versus C, right? So B and D are ruled out. The problem with this sentence is high pressure and superheated steam. These are two different nouns, so we cannot use a singular verb. It should be a plural verb. So in A, can makes it correct. In C, we are using a plural verb, so that makes it right. So which one of the two should we choose? Now let's focus elsewhere. This if tells me that it is a conditional sentence. And in a conditional sentence, if the condition is stated using present indefinite tense, then what should the other side have? The other side can have future indefinite, or the other side can have present indefinite, right? So future indefinite basically says that if the condition is fulfilled, the outcome will definitely occur. Present indefinite on the other side tells us that it is a regular or habitual action, or it is a scientific fact. So in this particular case, if you read this sentence, you'd realize that we are indeed talking about a scientific fact. And therefore, I will prefer your good old simple present indefinite instead of bringing in a modal auxiliary verb. So there are very few areas in grammar where we have some formulae. Conditional sentences happens to be one such area. And if you go through that, you would also be able to eliminate A and choose C. Right? So present indefinite on both the sides of a conditional sentence shows universal truth, regular habitual action, scientific facts. And since it belongs to the third category, C it is. Here is your next question. Question number 9. Okay, so let us see what you share. We have a Shakuni as well. I mean, some of these handle names or account names are amazing. So, since you have shared your answer, here it is. The correct answer is indeed D. I agree with you. Instead of around, it should have been over. Another way of fixing it could have been adding ago at the end, around 2 centuries ago. Even that could have worked. But if something happens, so basically we say things happen over a period of time and not around a period of time, right? So around is used to give you an approximate idea of time. It does not talk about something that happened over that period. So D it is. And with that, let me take you to your next question. Question number 10. Scientists retrieved the fossil in the Posidonia Shale, an early Jurassic geology formation location at the axis of Austria, the Czech Republic, and Switzerland. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, so I see some answers already. Nana Sayak, they were not the same. A happened to have can. A had can make. D did not have can. Or C did not have can, sorry. Okay, Kaustubh has also shared this. I just saw this now. Right. So there are two problems. Now, geology is a noun. It should have been an adjective, remember? So, geology formation, no. Geological formation. We need to use the correct part of speech. So, geology, no. The other three are right. So, A is ruled out by this itself. This formation location or this formation which is located. So, you need to have located. And therefore, C is also ruled out. So, what is the difference between B and D? B may changes that formation into form which is wrong. So, our answer should be option D, which I think is something that a lot of us have gone on to choose. Right? So, with that, let's dive into the next segment where I test your understanding of grammar using fill in the blanks. Here you go. Should not take you long actually. Let's see what your answer is. Sayak, I think I missed out on, actually you and I are on a 15-second, 20-second lag. It's live, but then there is usually around 20 seconds of lag. So the answers or your responses at times do not come in real time to me. So I miss out on figuring out the context. My bad. We'd look into it. Okay, so loads and loads of B. Anybody for C? Nobody? So B it is. Since is the correct answer. Normally some people also end up using for, but then since nobody has done that, we can move over to the next question safely. Question number 12. Which preposition goes with invested? Yash, absolutely. Let's try that. Oh, Yash, I know, you're absolutely right. Yeah. But then, when we work in a group, it is important for us to take everyone along. So this is a question that tests your understanding of dependent or fixed prepositions. The correct answer here is B. With invested, you are supposed to use with. Invested with magisterial power. So basically, Prime Minister has magisterial power. So he's invested with those powers and not invested in those powers. Right? So that's why B it is. And with that, let me take you over to the next one. So done with prepositions, and now let's move back to our generic broader grammar concepts. Absolutely correct, guys. The answer is indeed option C. So driving, so you could have looked at it from the perspective of parallelism, because you have ignore here. You know that you want another plural verb here. So that's one way of looking at it. Drives. The problem with drives, Jonty and Shivani, is that the subject is large numbers of people and the subject is plural. Drives would have been singular. Okay, next question for you. Question number 14. Hey, this should be a laddu question for everybody. An easy question to answer, really. Okay. So you are absolutely spot on. The answer is indeed option C, in June, in a given month. So that's right. Here is the next one. One should avoid sowing dash night. Yes, C. C it is. Now you realize it can at times be a little weird. So we say in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, but we say at noon, at night, at dawn, at dusk. So C it is. You guys have definitely managed to spot it correctly. So with night we use at, with morning, evening, afternoon we use in. Okay, the next one. Yes, there is no word required here. The sentence is correct as it is, and you guys are rock stars. Huh? You've definitely managed to get this right. Here comes the next part. Remember, there are these questions where we are asked to change the narration. So if the sentence given to us is in direct speech, we change it into indirect, and vice versa. So here is a question for you where you are supposed to change the narration. The sentence that is given to you is in indirect speech. You are being asked to convert it into direct speech. Let's see what you pick up. Actually, this should have been was. But you guys are right. That did not affect the answer much. Hang on, guys. Those of us who are picking up C and D, we are supposed to convert into direct speech, which means that there should be a part, there should be a segment with quote marks. C and D do not have that segment, so they are anyway out. And between A and B, look at this I versus U. And that is what makes B correct. Okay, next question. So B it is for 17th. Here is question number 18th. Now this time around, the sentence that is given to you is in direct speech. You're supposed to convert it into indirect speech now. So let's see. So indirect speech is where you remove the quote marks. Okay. So considering that a chef is talking to the viewers, can I say that it is essentially going to be an instruction, right? So if since it is an instruction, we should not use requested. Now compare the others. The chef asked the viewer, the chef told the viewers, the chef said the viewers. No. Number one, we don't say said the viewers, we say said to. And number two, in indirect speech, said to is changed into told. So even D is incorrect. So that leaves you with A and B. A says the chef asked the viewers to add the tomatoes to a pan. That's correct. In B, the chef told the viewers that add the tomatoes to a pan. No, when it comes to imperative sentences, we basically use to plus verb's first form. We do not use a conjunction. That is used as a conjunction when your sentence happens to be an affirmative or a negative sentence. And that is why we can rule out B, and A is going to be our right answer here. So the chef asked the viewers to add the tomatoes to a pan. For example, if I say, open the door, I said to you. So I instructed you to open the door. That's how we convert it, right? So A it is, B uses that, which is not a conjunction that we use for imperative sentences. Okay, 19. Mr. Matsumoto says to Mr. Kabir. So what's your take on 19th? Oh yes, Piyush, that's actually pretty straightforward. So if you have say or says, then they simply replaced with, so then you can say said. But then if you have said to someone, then that said to is converted into told. Okay, now there is a problem here, and I'll tell you what the problem is. Here it is in present tense, so ideally I would want it to be in present tense, and when it is in present tense, the part within the quote marks does not change its tense. So even this should have been in present indefinite. It should have been written as it is. So ideally it should be Mr. Matsumoto tells Mr. Kabir that the device is currently available only in Japan. But then the problem here is that instead of is, they're using will be, which is wrong. So the verb part is right, but the tense of the quoted part is wrong. Now in the other three, the verb is not right. It is in past tense. We are not supposed to change that tense, but then let's check. And there are times when we need to pick up the best answer choice or the option with the least amount of mistake. So in the indirect speech, said to is converted into told. So this is definitely worse off than B and C. So let's remove it. Let's put it out of running. So B says Mr. Matsumoto told Mr. Kabir that the device was currently available versus was then available. Which one is right? Currently should be changed into then. So C is better than B, even B is ruled out. So when I compare A and C, A makes a mistake in the core part, that is the quoted part, which is the heart of a direct speech. Whereas C makes a mistake in the reporting verb part. So both the sentences A and C are actually grammatically incorrect, but because I have to choose one, I will go with the one which has a smaller mistake. I will go with C because it keeps the heart intact. It at least says the heart in the right tense, and the reporting verb is wrong. So that's a comparatively minor mistake, a mistake nonetheless. So ideally, I want tells, and this will be to be replaced with is. But otherwise, in the absence of that, the best answer choice of the given lot is option C. So there are times when the examiners make a mistake in the question, and even in that situation, we can always think of the best answer choice and narrow it down to something. Okay, the next one. Okay, so said to should be converted into told, but A has tells, D has says to, so A and D are ruled out. The difference between B and C is B says has caused, which is present perfect, whereas D says had caused, which is past perfect. So when we bring the part out from the quotes, if it is in present tense, we take it back by a tense. Okay, the present tense is converted into the corresponding past tense. So if it is in present perfect in direct speech, in the indirect speech we should use past perfect. That is why B is wrong and C is right, and thus that's going to be our answer to this particular question. I mean, very standard formulaic area. Okay, so I don't think there is much to it really, right? Let us go ahead and look at our next question that tests your understanding of act. Okay, so change the speech. So basically, yeah. So another one of those direct and indirect speech questions. My sister said to me, what problems are you facing during online classes? And there is a question mark, mind you, interrogative sentence. So be careful. A lot of people get this wrong when they're dealing with interrogative sentences. If you use elimination, this should be easy. So the answers are streaming in. So you notice the first part my sister asked me is same in all of them. So we can just ignore it. Now, whenever you have a question that starts with one of those WH words or how, then in indirect speech, that word acts as a conjunction. We don't add any extra conjunction for such questions. So in C, when you've added this that makes it incorrect. So C is wrong. In D, I were facing. Do we use were with I? No, there are these exceptions. Remember those subjunctive mood sentences, but beyond that, we never use were. So D is also ruled out. And between A and B, which one should we choose? I was facing, I am facing. In the previous question, I said that we change the tense. If the quote marks has a sentence in present tense, then we use the corresponding past tense. So the tense that we have here is present continuous, which means that this present continuous should be converted into past continuous. B still gives you present continuous, that is why it is incorrect, and thus the correct answer must be option A. If you are learning something from this session, make sure that you press that like button and show that appreciation. Okay, so is there a situation where we do not change the tense? Yes. If the reporting verb is in the present tense or the future tense, we don't change the tense of the part in the quote marks. But if the reporting verb, the verb which is outside the quote marks, is in past tense, the tense of the sentence in quote marks is changed. Okay, so do keep that in mind while working on direct and indirect speech. And that's basically it. That's what I had got for you. So got for you today. So make sure that you keep studying grammar and you keep practicing a lot.